Welcome to the squad. He's Icewater, I'm Puma. Do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe to our show and page. We're going to be talking college football, college basketball, the NBA, the NFL. What's on your mind, son? And then we're going to have our last second shot. In college football, bro, it is heating up. We're coming down to the wire. We are in November, and you know the bowl season starts in December. Ohio State is still hanging on to that number one spot. The team and game that really surprised me is the way Wisconsin just got into Illinois and just took them out. So Illinois is done. We have a lot of teams. USC is done. Oregon just took them out. I mean, there are a lot of teams that are just done now. And now it makes me wonder. I know we're doing this show on Monday, Tuesday, when they come out with the playoff brackets, who's in and who's out at this particular time. Because Miami beat Virginia Tech. They're ranked number 13 now. Could they be in? Could they be out? I don't know. Your thoughts, man?
There's a lot going on. A lot of things happened over the weekend. And to myself, I'm thinking, wow, did they do that? Did this team do that? One of the games that I thought was very key is the way that SMU dismantled Louisville,
Yeah.
38-6. And the way that I put that together is the factor that all of the teams that were defeated by Louisville or right below them, you think about James Madison, some of the other teams, and the way that Louisville lost, you got to knock those guys off, right? You got to knock them out just by the way that Louisville was beaten, and that's kind of the marquee signature loss for a lot of them. So if Louisville lost that way, how can you really consider the other teams for the college football playoff of the 12 teams? The other games that were real kind of closer that I thought like, wow, this happened. Utah escaping Kansas State,
Mm-hmm.
51-47. I don't think anybody
That
saw
was a
that.
really good game. That was a really good game.
And you being a West Coast correspondent, I know you saw that. But as you mentioned before, Oregon winning the way that they did over USC. I think we also knew that USC is maybe a year or two away. They're just kind of getting their talent back, if you will, learn a little bit more about themselves, but they're coming up. I would say the last game that I kind of surprised me a little bit, but it kind of put some things in perspective, is the way that Pittsburgh handled Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of knocked Georgia Tech out, if you will, and kind of put them a little bit lower on the tier. And the way that they were handled in such a manner, the score is what, 42-28.
Yeah.
So I think things are settling on a little bit now with a lot of the things that happened in this past week.
I know number 11, BYU, they beat Cincinnati. I felt they needed to beat Cincinnati to have a chance to get into the playoffs. They're ranked number 11. Alabama's number 10. They're trying to hang in there. Notre Dame put up a 70 spot on Syracuse. I thought they would beat Syracuse, but not that bad. It's like Notre Dame is like knocking on the door like we belong, we're in, we're solidifying our spot. Let's go through the top 10. We have Ohio State, followed by Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, even though the coach is deciding whether or not he's going to LSU or not. That's been the big news, but I think it's very distracting to the players at this particular time. It's ruining this season. Followed by Oregon, number 7, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, number 9, we mentioned before, and Alabama at number 10. But let me go through the next 5 to see whether or not I want to know from you which of these teams may have a spot in the 12. You have BYU, you have Utah, who had an impressive win, you got Miami of Florida, you have Vanderbilt, and you have USC. Which one of those teams or teams get into the top 12, bro?
Wow, that's a lot. On the spot.
That's the challenge. That's why I'm like, it's all kind of, we don't know. And the committee, I don't envy their decision making, because you got some tough decisions to make on creating a great playoff so we all enjoy it in competitive games.
Considering the teams that you mentioned, and I'm not sure of everybody's schedule for the next week coming up, or this week, if you will. But out of those teams you mentioned, the one team I think I say would possibly get in because of how things could shake out even though it may be a long shot, I think it's Miami.
Okay.
Miami plays Pittsburgh
Right.
coming up, and the way that Pittsburgh handled Georgia Tech, if my that's going to give Miami some points to move forward. And I'm sure we'll talk about in a few minutes, some of the other very key matchups, the rivalry matchups. A couple teams could shake out with or happen where the favorites lose and suffer losses that could catapult Miami up into the 12th.
Okay, let's go to this week's games. You have Utah at Kansas. You have Ole Miss at Mississippi State. Here's a key game here: Texas A&M and Texas, because they're trying to move Texas into that top 12. I don't think they belong there, but if they get a big win against Texas A&M, how can you stop them from getting in? You got Georgia and Georgia Tech. That should be a barn burner. You have Miami and Pittsburgh, you mentioned earlier. You have Houston and Baylor. You have Missouri and Arkansas. You have BYU and UCF. That should be an interesting game. Can LSU pop Oklahoma, the number 8 seed? And can Washington pop Oregon? That's going to be a very, very challenging series of games. You got Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Vanderbilt sitting at 14. I thought they would be in, but they had some, bumps on the road and couldn't get in. Tennessee was looking promising earlier this year, but not so much now. What are some of the games you think that are going to be very key, and who gets in the playoffs and who doesn't?
I think you mentioned a couple of them. I'm going to start right there. Texas versus Texas A&M at College Station. Texas A&M has been winning strong all year. They're number three in the nation. This is an opportunity for Texas to prove that they still have something left, particularly with all of the voters that have been pumping them up. And despite how many losses they have, was it like three losses? They're still pumping them up as if they deserve to be there. Now we're going to find out. Do you really belong? You're playing at College Station. Texas A&M has been playing real well. So we're going to find out what you're made of. And if you suffer that fourth loss, Texas, we don't need to hear anything else about anybody else coming for you to run to your rescue to declare that you belong in. The other game I would probably say, which may be a shock to some, Ole Miss versus Mississippi State.
I was just looking at that one. Yep.
Just because of the fact that it's a rivalry and all that's going on down there with Lane Kiffin and all of the whispers about the family taking secret trips, recruiting trips into other places, this could be the time that this all unravels. And then it comes down to whether or not Ole Miss, after Lane Kiffin, because they're asking them to make a decision after this game about where he's going to be at, whether or not they vote him to coach this team in the playoffs. And that could be another detriment to them as well. Of course, Ohio State, Michigan, let's just throw it out there.
Yeah.
We know how
I
that
say that
is.
for you. I take that when I say that.
Uh, I would be remiss if I did not put it out there. I know you didn't say anything, but it just comes down to the pressure's on again. Ryan Day we'll find out if Ryan Day has learned his lesson in regards to the way that they have their play structure, the play calling, the way that they move forward in that game plan, if you will. Because now we know Michigan is going to play the way that they do. They're going to slow the game down. They're going to try to control tempo. They said it's going to be cold, could be windy, could be rainy, could be like 31 degrees. But my question is Ohio State going to use these excuses as to why they would lose to Michigan? And the way that they're supposedly playing this year, even if they were having to deal with the elements and couldn't throw the ball as much as they can, you still can come up with a subdued, if you will, game plan, still passing the ball and focusing on your strengths. I said it from the beginning. In this particular game, even if it was sunny and 75 degrees, Ohio State has to get out of its way mentally. And I think that happened last year. If they would hit two field goals, kick two field goals, they win the game. They had to get out of their way mentally and move forward. And that's why I think this is going to be a hell of a game, a big game on Saturday.
Yeah, because they were playing Michigan football instead of Ohio State football, and that got them in trouble. If they do that this year, they're going to be in trouble again. They have to play their brand of football. And we said that last year when we watched the game. Why aren't they passing the ball? Why aren't they, doing what they normally do? And it's almost like they're playing too conservative. If they play too conservative, it's going to be an upset. And I picked them to win this year. There is nobody in their way that could beat them. They're the best team in the country. But you are absolutely right. You hit it spot on. They got to get out their own way and really just relax, go out there, play football, play their brand of football, and they should have no problem. Let's go to big boy football in the NFL. This week was very bizarre to me. I was watching a lot of games and a lot of highlights, and these games are really, really bizarre. Some of the decision making of coaches, some of the decision making of players. But I have to give it to you and Southside Al. He picked Cleveland. I don't think you picked Cleveland, but he picked Cleveland. And Pop picked Cleveland. And Shador showed out. He showed out, and it has a lot of people wondering what could have been if this guy had started at the beginning of the season. We will never know. But this guy looked like a pro quarterback. He was making things happen. Even though the line didn't do especially a good job of really kind of protecting him, they did the best they could. He was making plays with his feet, things of that sort. And it was great to see his father out there congratulating him, being there for his first game starting. And my thing with Cleveland, they don't want to admit that they made a mistake in not starting this guy, or they didn't act like they wanted him on the team and they were forced to pick him. Trade him, because I'm pretty sure he could go somewhere else. And I love the quote that he made at the end of the game where he says, what do you think about the Raiders and everybody who, you're coming out in your first game playing against them? And he took a shot at him. He said, I'm what they were looking for. And he just walked off. I love it. I love it. Your thoughts on week 12 of the NFL, man?
Kudos to Shador Sanders. Kudos to the Cleveland Browns because I know deep down inside their players really want to win.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, despite the coach
Yep.
and also the general manager, they kind of showed you that they really wanted it. And I'm happy for him. Not so much that he's my favorite or anything like that, but he's been going through hell in a handbasket trying to be a football player. And he can't help who his dad is. And granted, some people either love him or you hate him. But when he got out there, he was able to shine. And who knows, he may not have another moment like that. When they have their next game, where that might be his best game of the year. But he had a moment, and he had an opportunity. So whatever happens from that, I'm happy for him. The other games, I would say, from the standpoint of when it looks at what's going to happen as we move forward in the season, kudos, give it up. My Bears, as I told my brother weeks ago, I said this and I'll say it again. When the Bears played the Cowboys and humiliated them on national TV, I said that looked like a playoff team to me. They could have played this the rest of the way. And guess what? Guess what? That team, somehow or another, it's not pretty at all, but they find themselves in a good spot. And I'm happy for them. And I'm not gonna go out and print money or start buying playoff tickets or Super Bowl tickets or nothing like that. I'm just gonna say that I'm happy for them. And I admire the way that they play. And I think it's a testament to the new head coach and the philosophy. Because it would be easy for them to lay down like they've done in the past. And to beat Pittsburgh like that, even though they didn't have a quarterback, still, you know how the Steelers are on defense. You got to give them kudos on that. And those damn Chiefs, baby. Patrick
They're hanging in
Mahomes.
there. They are hanging
Patrick
in there.
Mahomes, man. And just the team in general. And when a lot of people chose the Colts, I picked the Chiefs because I was like,
Yeah,
Patrick's
me
not
too.
laying down. It was close.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not saying it was guaranteed, but there's a lot of fight in that team, and they still have a champions etiquette. Doesn't mean they're going to win it or anything like that. But yeah, and last point on this for me in regards to champions etiquette or not, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Really, Buffalo?
I don't get them. I really don't get them.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't get them. I've been trying to figure them out since Jim Kelly. No, I'll go back further. Trying to figure them out since Joe Ferguson and OJ Simpson. I've been trying to figure out the Buffalo Bills, how you get some of the most talented players to ever play the game, and you can't get over the hump. You can't win a Super Bowl. You get in your own way. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe they were just tired Thursday night. I don't know, but the other team was tired too. They come on. I can't I can't with them. I can't with them no more. I can't. Even though in our pick show, I picked them against the Steelers. I just can't. It's hit or miss. I don't know if I'll get that one or not. But just when you give up on them, they pull one off. And so I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is playing. I don't believe in Pittsburgh's backup quarterback. So that's basically the pick I picked in our sports show, in our pick show later. But the other game that really got me, man, and it was because of one of the players tweeted something or on X or whatever, saying that it's almost like we're trying to lose these games on purpose. Yeah, one of the Giants players, it was like, it's almost like we're trying to lose this on purpose. And maybe a few minutes after he posted it, it was taken off. And this is like the fifth or sixth game where the Giants are leading the game, got the game won, and then all of a sudden the other team comes back. It's like clockwork. It's like somebody's making a decision that shouldn't be. The other thing that bothered me about the Cleveland Brown game, they won. The total score was 34 points. The over and under was 36, and I think, and a half. And they decided to punt the ball on the opponent's 29-yard line, which I've never seen anybody, when they're inside the 30, not kick a field goal. So, like I said, it was a bizarre week when you kept seeing stuff like that. Even in the Jaguars Cardinals game, you start seeing bizarre things, and you go, are we living in the age where sports has truly become the WWE? It's a rhetorical question. I'm not asking that. Anything else you noticed in the last week?
I'm gonna go back to Buffalo because you mentioned something. I'm gonna go back to, let me just say this. The Jim Kelly era, try to figure them out, but at least they made the Super Bowl.
Ah,
Any team that can make the Super Bowl that many times and
four
lose,
times and lose and play on the
I
same
don't have
field
a
four
problem. I
times.
do, but I don't. How many teams would love to be there, Carolina? Anyway, there's so many other teams that would love to be there. If you at least make it, I can see that. Maybe you just played teams that were better and you try to figure that out. You can blame the coach or whatever, or to the standpoint of the talent. But they made it. But when you look at Buffalo now, you have all of the hype around quarterback Allen and all this other stuff. And it appears, particularly like this year and a couple other off years for Kansas City and other teams, that this was the perfect scenario for them to win. But yet they find a way to mess it up. They find a way. And I'm saying to myself, what if we just stop crowning them? Maybe they'll finally get over the hump. Because I'm gonna be straight up and straight honest right now. There are a couple cities and teams I like to see win. I like to see win a Super Bowl. Buffalo is one of them. I like to
I
see
used to
Buffalo
feel
win
like that.
because
Now, no. I don't care if they ever win one. I
I
used
mean,
to
I
feel
get it. I just think about the Thurman Thomases. You think about all that. I'm going back. You mentioned Joe Ferguson, right? You
I
mentioned
even go back to
OJ.
Jim when Jim Harris used to play for the Buffalo. James Harris.
Jimmy James Harris.
Jimmy Harris. I
And
go
then you
back
think
that far, and it's like they're snake bitten, man.
you can now you cannot mention those teams without mentioning Reggie McKenzie,
Oh
right?
yeah, my man. You
Yeah,
had Bennett. You had all those players. Jim Kelly. You had Smith, Bruce Smith. You had all those great players, and y'all can't win one, not one. Come on, man. Something's wrong.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Totally agree on that one.
All right. Before I get in a depressed mode, let's move on to another sport, to college basketball, man, where Purdue is holding on to that number one spot. And we're currently watching Houston and Syracuse, and there's 2 minutes left to go in the game. And Houston is ranked number 3. Arizona jumps up to number 2. You got Duke number 4, UConn number 5. They got smacked over the weekend. Tough game, but it didn't seem like the head coach was happy about it. But he's like, "Hey, I know where my team is. I know where they are, and we're gonna fix this." Louisville is ranked number 6, followed by Michigan, Alabama, who beat Illinois here in Chicago at the United Center, followed by BYU. They dropped down to number 9, and they have a 4-1 record, and followed by the last year's national champ, Florida. Michigan State is really, I'm looking forward to watching them play North Carolina over the holiday. You have Gonzaga, they're playing later tonight. You got Illinois, St. John's. They just lost their game, I think, against Iowa State. So they're going to be flip flopping. Iowa State's number 15, St. John's number 14. Look for that to flip. And you have North Carolina number 16. Please slow them down. Don't let them get that high up yet. Don't spoil the secret. They got a freshman there that's phenomenal. I'm going to call him Dr. Duncanstein. That brother when he throw down. Anyway, Tennessee's number 17. UCLA's number 18, Kentucky's number 19, and Texas Tech rounds out the 20 with the number 20th spot. What are some of the games that really kind of stood out to you in college basketball? There are loads of them that happened last weekend, and there's some great games coming up this weekend.
No doubt. I kind of go from this standpoint. I know why they moved Purdue up to number one. Purdue is exciting. They have Player of the Year candidate, of course, and they love them to move them up, kind of like Texas in football. But until we see them really match up against marquee teams, I'm not going to start crowning them, if you will. I think I'm very impressed with Arizona. Arizona has had two great matchups and they have overcome a lot of things. Now, of course, they get you excited early on, like they
Yeah,
did a la Caleb Love days.
yeah.
In the preseason, you think this is one of the best teams ever. And then you turn around when it's time for the tournament and you get all nervous. I think I picked them a couple times to win it all, and damn it, every time they let me down. So I will not be picking you this year, Arizona. Okay. If you win it, it'll just be my loss. I will not be selecting you. Of course, I love Houston. I love the way that Coach Sampson has them fired up. They're very aggressive. They play strong on defense. And I think that's the thing. I'm not sure if they had the shooters and the offensive power that they had last year, but they may be better defensively than they were last year. And I love that because defense can win championships. Duke is just getting warmed up, I think, a little bit.
The Boozer brothers.
I-
Whew.
no doubt. No doubt. Also, too, I will look at Michigan State. I was having a conversation with my brother the other day, and he mentioned about Michigan State. And the one thing about Michigan State is when you look at them on paper and you see them, they have a very young squad.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of tall guys. You got a couple undersized forwards or guys that remind you of Plumlees and the old Lennox in the NBA because of their hue. But these dudes are nasty. They don't care who it is. They come very strong. They're very physical, and they have a way because the way that they run Izzo's system to defeat athletes that don't play under control.
Or
So
not
that's what I
disciplined.
want to.
That's what I noticed. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to beat Michigan State.
And that's what I think early on by them playing this top notch schedule is going to help them. I like Alabama. Alabama, they're gritty. They're very talented, they're athletic, but they're gritty. And they may not always do things just right, but they will beat a lot of teams just because of that being gritty. And my last point on this will be that team up north has some athletes and they still going to make a run. Michigan, that is, because just by the way that things going on and the coach and a lot of stuff, the way that he handles his business up in Ann Arbor.
In a future show, we're probably going to highlight some of the sons of former NBA players that are playing in college basketball. And I got to get my hats off to Stojakovic from Illinois. He's nasty. He is, he's nasty, man. So a lot of, we're looking at right now, Syracuse and Carmelo Anthony's son is playing on that particular team. You have the Boozer brothers who are playing at Duke. You got a lot of different players all around college basketball who are playing, their dads played, and now they're playing, and you see the dads out in the crowd, cheering them on, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And these guys are probably got the best training, best coaching to be at that level. And I like that they just didn't jump to the league and they started learning their craft in college. I love that because it shows the progression. They're playing against some of the best players in the country, and we get to see them a little bit instead of them jumping to the league, not playing much, and looking like you don't belong there, and then getting shipped down to the G League. And you all know who I'm talking about. Let's go to the NBA. And what are some of the games that stood out in the NBA to you, bro? Because I know they're playing this tournament. You hardly notice it, but I'm looking at the Pistons. They're still rolling. It 12 straight games. You got the Raptors after them with a 12-5 record. You have Cleveland with a 12-6 record. Miami Heat, who are at 11-6. I didn't expect them to be that high after the trades they made. In the Western Conference, you have the Thunder still rolling, winning 9 straight. The Lakers behind them, winning 4 straight with a 12-4 record. The Thunder have a 17-1 record, only lost one game this season. They are projected, if they keep going this route, they will beat the Warriors record by winning 77 games this particular season. I don't know if they can eclipse that, but they're on the track to do that. You have the Denver Nuggets. Denver always does this. They kind of hide in the middle of the crowd, and then they come out during the playoffs. You have Houston, 10-4 record, and you have the Spurs without the big man at 11-5 record. I expect them to kind of hit the skids a little bit until the big man comes back. Your thoughts on the NBA, man?
A lot going on. It's early, but there's some great games. Even though I know I'm not sure if they're going to do anything, but I gotta give kudos to this guy when he wants to play. Got to give some love to Russell Westbrook, what Westbrook Brook because of what he did
You said Brick or
last
Brook?
week. Brick Brook, same thing. Depends on what night it is, right? So Westbrook played some strong ball against his former teammates in Denver
Yeah.
and secured a win for San Francisco, Sacramento. There you go. I'm all over the place today, but secured a win, and I'm not even smoking. Anyway, got a lot of love for him on that and the way he was able to do that. I think one of the teams that you did not mention, and you got to look at it. It's easy to overlook them because they haven't done anything that excites you. But I'm looking at Toronto.
Yeah.
They're number two in the East.
Yeah.
12-5, 7-3. And when you look at their team, it's a bunch of guys you knew from other teams.
Yeah.
But I like the way that they're playing. Says a lot. They're quietly moving on. They won seven in a row. And you got to give kudos to them because when you said Toronto, you like, you didn't think Toronto, where you say, oh, Toronto's gonna be at the bottom easy. But they're the number two seed right now, or they had the second place in the East. And from that standpoint, I like them. I'd say I like the West too. OKC is a machine. Okay. I don't care who it is, it could be the Lakers, whatever, but whatever, you come up against them, OKC is on fire.
They're not at
They
full
play
capacity yet. They're
no.
Yeah, they're missing one key player, and they're still rolling.
And you can get excited about the Lakers if you want to. I told you I'm not buying it. I'm not buying into it. I do like Denver. I like the way that they're moving the ball. Some things are happening. And if you haven't seen the Joker, Jokic,
Yeah, he's playing out
he
his mind right now.
he is so dominant. And when he gets the ball down low, if you are an inch or two smaller or you're smaller in stature from a physical standpoint, they have been scratching him in his eye, hitting him in the eye, beating him up, and he just keeps going. And then, of course, he just shakes his head and looks back at the ref like, "You see him killing me over here, right? You
Yeah,
see him
and
killing
and
me."
he's gonna have to be that dominant for a while because Gordon is down for about 3 to 4 to 5 weeks with an injury. So he's got to. I mean, he's gonna make his MVP numbers right now.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
yeah. I agree with that too. And two, I have to say, I like Houston. I know it's Durant, but I think they're coming together slowly but surely. That defense is now coming around for them where the team collectively is showing you we can get this done. But I think that, as I told you before, the team is recognizing what Durant brings to them. And you have to sometimes you have to quit being a guy that or some players that are so caught up in their stats that you forget that you have a future Hall of Famer on your squad and have to let him cook, as they say, when it's time. I think that's how they're going to learn. You get your points, have fun. Sagoon and other guys, Thompson, yeah, but when it's time, you need a bucket and you need somebody to show you how to win on all levels, love him or hate him. You got to let Durant cook when it's time.
All right, we're at the segment of the show. What's on your mind, son? Not that you are my son, but you shine like one. Let's go, man. What you got?
This is going to be hard. And I've said it before.
Okay, come on, man.
You guys
We
are
can
going to
get
think I'm a
through this. We can
broken,
get through this.
yeah, yeah. You guys are going to think I'm a broken record, but I was looking at something, trying to figure out what I was going to say, and it just jumped out on me. So let me say this real quick. We talked about WWE, we talked about entertainment, things of that nature. I don't want to talk about it, but it's calling me. It's just be calling me. It's be calling. So anyway, I'm talking about Jake Paul's event that's coming up, and we're supposed to take this serious. Shame on you, media, to try to act like this is real. And I have now the perfect formula to tell you that it's a charade. Then I'm not saying Jake Paul doesn't deserve to make money and fool us all. I said that last time. But what I'm going to do now is show you a formula as to why it's so bizarre. Think about it this way, real quick. Don't tell nobody. Here we go. He was scheduled to fight Tank Davis, right? Tank Davis, on a good day, fights at 135. He can barely make 140. But they had to make a stipulation that Jake Paul could be no heavier than 190, right? Again, remember that number, 135, right? So whatever they said about Tank Davis, he messed it up because whatever his legal issues were, and that's why they canceled that fight. Okay, granted, bet. Jake Paul goes out scrambling, trying to find another opponent. So he comes up with this new substitute in Anthony Joshua. Yeah, that Anthony Joshua, heavyweight champion, and that Anthony Joshua. Now listen to this number. 245 is the number they said Anthony Joshua must come in weighing or less. So do the math. 245 minus 135. That's 110 damn pounds. It's like the big giant versus the little people. He just went from one end of the spectrum to another. And you're supposed to buy into this? Oh man, what a great matchup, like nothing happened. You should demand that your media types recognize this for what it is. It's a farce. If you can sell it, great. I'm not mad at you. Get your money. But don't expect me to go, oh man, you about to see this real boxing match. No, Jake Paul, fool everybody, get your money. If we are that simple, which is fine, like WWE, I used to be a huge wrestling fan from my granddad. I watched Bobo Brazil back in the day. Y'all know who that is? Google it. Bobo Brazil. That's how far I go back with wrestling. I don't call it wrestling, it's wrestling. Okay. So with that being said, I love it. It was really high end, great stories, but those gentlemen and women put their physical bodies on the line. They did a lot of things that you really didn't think were possible, and they kind of sold it. Now we're being taken for granted by Jake Paul that he can just put anything together on a moment's notice. Now, this fight was supposed to happen in November, and within a month, he gonna give you something else real quick before Christmas. So get ready and everybody get excited about it. But I just don't understand how we don't see what this is. And if you like it, great. Fantasy, entertainment, great. But 110 pounds is a bit much for me to buy into the difference, and I'm supposed to act like this is all normal. Thank y'all for listening.
We're going to last second shot. We lost a great NBA player a couple of weeks ago. And I know, Ice, you're going to have some words to say about him. Michael Ray Richardson, Michael Sugar Ray Richardson. And I used to see him come to Gulf Street Park in New Haven, Connecticut on the same day he had games with the New York Knicks and wondering, hey, man, don't you got a game coming up? But he was revered by a number of NBA players, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas. They were like, this guy, you couldn't do anything with. He later went overseas and played ball and continued his career after I think he got banned from the NBA for substance abuse. But Sugar was the man. Sugar was the man, and I enjoyed seeing him playing in the NBA. And I wish I can get my hands on some games he played overseas because he was the guy to watch. And he was Magic Johnson. Even Magic Johnson would say, before Magic Johnson, he was a show. Your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep mine light there as well. I'm gonna use my last second shot on Sugar as well. I'm gonna tell you something. I remember start watching basketball when I fell in love with basketball with scores that the other teams knew was trying to score, right? The George Gervins of the world knew he was averaging 27 points a game, knowing he was trying to get 35, start off real slow and end up getting that mark. Sugar was the same way. He was like, what, 6'5", wasn't the tallest guy in the world, had crazy handles. And what I love about him too, along with George the Iceman Gervin, the finger roll. You get within 8 feet of the basketball with those hands, you just flip it and let it go. And I don't know because they said Sugar had a drug problem. I get some of them things that he struggled in his life. I don't know what was going on, but I know one thing. Sugar was, even later on, was only the only man I knew, even after leather Dr. J's shoes came out, the Adidas Kareems, right? All of these lovely leather gym shoes that we were getting acquainted to that still wore canvas Chuck Taylors. And I don't know where you from or whatever. Try to put on some Chuck T's now and don't have your ankles wrapped up. Try to play some damn basketball. And he played in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chuck T's with canvas. You would break an ankle, tear your Achilles. Your feet would run out the shoes today if you try to play ball in those things with the a rubber toe stop at the top. But Sugar was shaking and baking, and I always remember this one series when they played when he switched over from the Knicks and went to the Nets,
Mhm.
and they beat Philadelphia and Dr. J.
Yeah.
And Dr. J had Andrew Toney, and they were ready to go and whatnot. But Sugar was like, nah, nah. And he just was so magical. And to use that pun, like magic, but he was magical, smaller, but he could just take over a game and he played D. He was rugged as hell. But he was the epitome of 80s basketball, man. Because you know, back then they could hand check and everybody get all physical with you. He didn't even mind it. You push him off, he spin away and wouldn't even argue or look or do a Luka Doncic looking for a call. He just spin one way, spin the other way, and just drop it in. Again, the way that he and George Gervin could shoot from any angles with that physical touch on them and also moving forward was amazing. If you don't know who he is, Google him. Maybe you can see a few highlights, but he was amazing. Rest in peace, because I think
Yeah.
eventually, as things started to settle down after he went overseas and I think he had a couple children, his life started to slow down. He started to really understand what life was about. So kudos to him. Rest in peace, and thank you for being an amazing basketball player.
Yeah, and shame on you guys who cry about calls now and being touched. Y'all are not in a league where they used to just roughhouse you. So you crying over calls right now, those little pity pat calls. Shame on you. Shame on you. That's our show. See you next week.